Hello there, everyone. Welcome back. Today is something again different to Tuesday. So obviously on Tuesday we did the Galactic Conquest You Decide stuff on Classic Battlefront 2, and then today I'm basically going to be talking about all things Andor, the first 4 episodes. There will be spoilers involved, as well as Star Wars games, because there was a report earlier this week, on Monday I think it was, about 2 Star Wars games coming out per year. So I want to talk a bit about that and what's to come and stuff. But Torbis and I Don't Like Sand, it's good to see you guys. I hope you're doing well. It's also worth mentioning that the channel members thing is severely out of date now, because I don't use this overlay much at all, so I will need to update it. I'll need to make sure it's updated so that it doesn't happen again. But there we go. Thought Andor was amazing, especially the 4th episode. So yeah, that's what I'm going to start on today. Obviously, I can't, I'm on Disney Plus right now, but I'm not obviously going to be able to watch it with you and whatnot. For obvious reasons, but also, even if I clicked on an episode, it wouldn't show up anything for you guys. So yeah, no, Andor is awesome. Obi-Gon, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Yeah. I don't really know where to start. The beginning, obviously, is a good place. But yeah, it's so different to anything we've seen with Star Wars before. It's obviously got that Rogue One vibe to it. But, as a TV show, it's so different to anything we've had before. Obviously, we've had The Mandalorian, 2 seasons of that now, The Book of Boba Fett Season 1, and Kenobi, 1 season of that. So we've had 4 seasons of television, live action, before this. So yeah, I mean, obviously you're going to sort of expect different things to occur, but I don't know, the pacing of Andor is so much slower than the other shows we've had, and I really like it. I think it's working incredibly well. It's got, I was actually talking to Torbis about this not too long ago, but Andor and even Rings of Power as well, they're taking their time, and that allows characters to be developed better, and you to actually connect with these characters, and for the world around them to be built up and stuff, because these first 3 episodes of Andor, we spent all of it, we spent pretty much all of it on Ferrix, trying to getting to know people like Bix and Cyril Khan from the Premor Corporation, and just Cassian's friends. So yeah, it's just SV, good to see you, hope you're doing well. And Tom, good to see you as well. POV, you haven't seen the latest episode of Andor. Well, if you don't want it spoiled, I would suggest watching it now, because I will talk about it later, unless you're not bothered. But yeah, it's just you get to meet, so in the first 3 episodes especially, you get to meet so many characters close to Cassian or just within his life, and they really build up I mean, it obviously helps build up his story, but you actually get to feel like these people are real characters. It's in something like the Book of Boba Fett, for example, we don't spend a lot of time with the biker crew, for example. They show up, they're young adults, late teenagers, and it's there are all these things. Oh, Obi-Gon, I saw you earlier. I did say hello. I apologise if you didn't hear that. Hope you're doing well, my friend. What was I saying? Yeah, biker gang people. So, we didn't spend a lot of time. They showed up, and then Boba recruited them, and then boom, all that stuff. And I don't feel a particularly big connection with them at all. But then in Andor, for example, obviously it was the 3rd episode when Tim got shot and killed. May he rest in peace, you Scottish soul. But you get to see through. We've had now 3 episodes of Tim, and yes, okay, he's not in it a lot, but we get to see him doing all these things beforehand, working at the shop. Obviously, he's with Bix, and we get to see him sort of struggle with his feelings and not really talk to people, talk to Bix personally about what's going on, because obviously Bix isn't allowing him to get a discussion in. So he feels like he has to take matters into his own hands. And then like obviously he died, and it was actually quite sad. Like if it was anyone else, then if that was in like the first episode, for example, it's just like don't really care. And whereas because we've had quite a bit of time with him, like within the story already, you get a real like connection with the character, and you can sort of understand where he's coming from and why he's doing what he's doing. And obviously the outcome of it is so yeah, it's a bit like SV cheered for his death. No, the thing is, like, we didn't get particularly long with him, but it's just those kind of things. Like we've actually got to spend time with small characters, whereas like in in other shows we don't get to spend a lot of time with particular characters, and they just die and they don't really do much. Or like Tim, in other TV shows, I feel like maybe what we saw Tim do, we would have seen it like the first time he comes up, for example, whereas we actually got to see him properly and learn about him, connect with him, and then he goes and does that. And I just really liked that and appreciate that. So yeah. Gian, I don't know if I said hello, so hello, I hope you're doing well. Obigum hasn't seen Andor, but not bothered about spoilers. Well, I'd really recommend it, honestly. It's really good. Found him an annoying character, but that's the thing. I feel like he was almost one of those characters that you're sort of meant to dislike in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like Umbridge in Professor Umbridge in Harry Potter. I don't know how many of you have seen Harry Potter, but she, as a character, she's an amazing character, but you're made to hate her. Like, she's an absolute knob. And everyone knows that. Everyone like hates her, but that's why she's such a good character. And I feel like Tim was almost one of them. Not to the same extent. Like, you're not going to grow to hate him, but like as much as you would say Umbridge, for example. But like, he does these things that kind of annoy you. Like, we as a viewer knew what he did was wrong, and that it wasn't going to help the situation at all. But it was almost necessary for the story to progress. So, gotta hate Umbridge so much. See, that's the thing. Yeah, like I really hate her, but I like as a character, I think she's amazing. But I do not like her at all. The show is paced in a way to let the consumer breathe. Exactly, it's nice. Show being slow doesn't have to be a bad thing. No, and that's the thing. Like, that's why I'm really confused about. That's what confuses me about people complaining Andor slow or Rings of Power slow. Like, we've actually been like I was just saying a moment ago. Like, because they're slower, like we actually get to connect with the characters more and really see the story unfold, as opposed to it being, action. Like, action's obviously a very good thing, and it's really cool. But if you don't spend that much time building up the story, connecting with the characters and stuff like that, it doesn't really mean that much, really. Like, what's a good example? I feel, yeah, in episode 3 as well, like, the Primor security guys, like, they all got, well, not all of them, but, they had the incident at the end of episode 3 with Cassian, like, escaping on that speeder and then blowing, Cassian blowing up 3 of them. Like, Cyril Khan, as you can see, you'll be able to see him down here. Like, he was devastated with the whole thing. Like, he sort of knew what was going to come for him in a sense, and like, it shattered him to the very core in a way. And we got to spend, because it's a slower paced show, we actually got to, like Tim, we got to spend plenty of time with him and sort of learn about him, understand like the way he is and all that. And then, like, we had that action in at the end of episode 3, and then we see his pain, and because we've actually been able to connect with the character, like, it's like it makes the action better for me. if you get me, because I'm more invested in each character and the show as a whole. The action just feels better, whereas if it was just like action after action and I don't really get to know people too much, then it's like, yeah, it's just not as rewarding to watch. Yeah, action is good if it's built up and has actual consequences. Exactly. Builds up the story so it makes more sense and makes it more interesting and pulls you in, so you want to watch more. Exactly. And this is the thing, like, after the first episode, like the first episode I think was potentially the slowest. I can't really remember, it's been like a week since I watched it now, but like, first 2 episodes, were definitely slow. It was building, it was really like setting the scene for the season. And then like episode 3, sorry, is like, it's another like slow episode, but at the end of the episode you can feel things building up, and then it sort of like gives you a flavor of things, and then you get to episode 4 and it's like it slows down a bit more. Like, we've just had this sort of action scene, now we're sort of seeing the consequences of what's happened. It's a bit slower, but again, it helps then like push the story forward a bit more. So yeah, TD, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. I think Andor is the most British Star Wars content. Yes. Well, I mean, most of it was filmed in the UK, to be fair. So I can see why you might think that. I didn't say it was bad, and yeah, it doesn't have to be action. Oh wait, hang on, I think I didn't see this. This might make more sense. I think the show has been very slow to this point, to be honest, and should be good as the story goes. Hopefully. Didn't say it was bad, and yeah, don't have to be action. But they could have made it more exciting, just my opinion, though, at this point. That is fair. No, I mean, I think the thing for me is I've never... Well, I feel like, for me, like The Walking Dead, for example, like, I've watched... If you're a Walking Dead fan, by the way, the rest of Season 11, the final season, airs on Monday. I think if you're in the US, it's Sunday night, but it's Monday morning for the UK and beyond. So get hyped. But like, yeah, The Walking Dead, like a lot of that, and just like American TV shows, they do have these sort of slower pace moments because a lot of the time they're like 22 episodes long. So I feel like, especially with The Walking Dead, I binged that sort of like slowly over the last year. So I'm really used to like slower TV, and I've come to like appreciate it so much more. So that now we're getting into Andor and Lord of the Rings with the slower timing and stuff, like, yeah, it's a lot, I don't know, I find it a lot more enjoyable. Like, I'd rather have like a series be 12 episodes long and a bit slower, so that you really get to connect with things more, as opposed to like 6 episodes long and then you're just like shot straight through it. But again, it depends on what they're trying to achieve, because like Andor and like Kenobi, for example, are trying to achieve completely different things. There's completely different stories about different people, different time zone, like period and whatnot. And it's just, yeah, some things work for different people, and this slower pace definitely works more for Andor than it would have Kenobi. Like, Kenobi is 6 episodes, like, worked pretty well. But I thought it was just a nice amount of episodes. Like, I don't think they could have done that much more with it, really. But yeah. The British Imperium is back in Andor, yes. The Empire is so, like... It's just so British. I love it. It's weird how Andor gets criticised for being slow-paced, but House of Dragon doesn't. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is. I feel like it's... I've not actually watched House of Dragon. I've not watched any Game of Thrones, in all fairness, but... I think when it comes to Star Wars, people expect action. They expect, lightsabers, Jedi versus Sith, like all these big fancy flight sequences and whatnot. And it's like they're not used to this sort of like slower paced content with Star Wars. Whereas something like Game of Thrones, you're probably used to that. So yeah. Love the slow-paced shows. Having back-to-back shows like that, like 8 episodes long, somewhat fast-paced, was annoying for me. I don't mind it. It just, again, it depends on like is trying to be achieved. So yeah, I definitely think I prefer like slower paced. Well, okay, so here's an example. She-Hulk, for that is the current MCU film TV show being aired. That's 9 episodes long. We've had 7 so far, and I feel like it's very like it's definitely the weakest show of the MCU so far, but it is pretty slow. Like it feels like not much has been happening. Like things have been happening and like sort of building up, and I think the last 2 episodes will probably be really good. Particularly the finale, I imagine will probably be the best one of the lot. But as much as I'm enjoying She-Hulk, like it is really slow, and it's not like quite hitting the mark the same as like Andor and Rings of Power, for example. So yeah, it's interesting because I think I would have liked a bit more with She-Hulk, but I don't really know like what I'd suggest. It's an interesting one. It's tricky sometimes because like with She-Hulk, like, I don't know the character that well at all, whereas like Cassian, for example, like we've seen him in Rogue One and we know what he's like. We understand the vibe that we were trying to get from Rogue One, and that's clearly being established in Andor. Whereas like She-Hulk, we've never seen before in the MCU, so it's like a completely new thing. Watched the Rise of Skywalker earlier, it reminded me of how bad it was. Oh god, no. I haven't watched it in a while, to be fair. I've not watched a lot of Star Wars, apart from like obviously when Star Wars shows are coming out. I've not been watching too much of it. I'll finish next week. I'll finish my watch through of Clone Wars with my girlfriend because she's not seen it yet. Apart from until we started watching it a few months ago, she hadn't seen it. So we get season 7 is the next watch through. It was the next thing. Last time I was there, we finished season 6. So I think they should have made Kenobi a movie personally, because I just want to watch Star Wars in theaters again. I miss watching it in there. Yeah, Star Wars in theaters again would be amazing. I really do want more films, but I'm glad that Kenobi was a series because it's longer. Again, we got longer. Like if Kenobi pretty much like started and almost ended in the same way that it did, I feel like as a film it would just it would no doubt be good, but I just think having a TV series the way it was for the best. It's just more time with the character as well. Like I really appreciated having like 4.5 hours with Ewan as Obi-Wan again, and like knowing Darth Vader was there with Hayden Christensen actually being in the suit. It was like, yeah, that was really cool. And like seeing Anakin again, like that was just awesome. Yeah, I want more Kenobi as well, Obi. Like, I think they definitely could do a second season, like bring Liam Neeson back. Obviously, because at the end of Kenobi, we obviously saw Liam Neeson's Qui-Gon once again as a Force ghost. But I feel like next it would be really cool to see Obi-Wan actually sort of like train with Qui-Gon, like learn the ways of sort of like life through the Force after death. I just think that would be really cool. I don't know what else they'd do, but then we have Reva as well. Like I think there's rumors of there was a rumor of a Reva show, but I don't know if that was just like purely speculation on someone's part. But like Reva clearly has a story to tell as well, so maybe Kenobi will have a second season and we see Reva and Kenobi. Maybe like Reva trains with Kenobi or something, or she just wants a completely new life and something else, then that's obviously fair enough. But yeah, last thing of Star Wars you watched in cinema was Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, it would have that would be the same for everyone. That was the last thing in there. So yeah, the last. So when I watched the Rise of Skywalker as like a triple, it was like a triple bill. So it was at 6 p.m. I think it was like 6 p.m. sharp. We started watching The Force Awakens in the cinema. Then there was like a like a 15-minute break, and then we watched The Last Jedi, and then there was another 15-minute break, so that at midnight we started watching The Rise of Skywalker. And that was amazing. Like, that as an experience, like, I'm so glad I was able to do that. And it's like probably one of my favorite like cinema experiences I've ever had. Like, I was literally just sat next to my brother and we were watching like this franchise that we'd grown up with for the last, like, well, we're 22, but we started watching it when we were like probably 4. So like, being able to like watch that was awesome. And like The Force Awakens, The Force Awakens was the first Star Wars film we watched in the cinema, because Episode 3, we were 5 when Episode 3 came out, and like, at that point we hadn't really gone to the cinema much. But yeah, so we didn't watch Episode 3 in the cinema, but we watched, the first one was The Force Awakens, and then it was Rogue One, then Last Jedi, then Solo, and then Rise of Skywalker. So it was really nice to see like the film that we first saw, the first Star Wars film we saw in cinema. Like, it was cool to get that experience again, after, I mean, only like 5 years, but it was still really cool. So yeah. Last thing you watched in the cinema was Empire release. Nice. Oof. I know they've done like IMAX re-releases of Rogue One prior to Andor releasing, but that's only in like very specific places, which is a shame. But so yeah, seeing a Star Wars film in concert as well would be sick. Imagine that, like, the film's just up there, and then you have an actual like orchestra just doing all the music. That, I just think that'd be incredible. Would be so cool. But going back to Andor, Easter eggs. Lots of Easter eggs already. In the first episode in the shipyard, we had, I think it was I think it came up in the first 2 episodes. I can't remember, but regardless, in one of the first 2 episodes, obviously there was that shipyard when Andor. I think it was the first episode. Cassian was in that ship, and that guy came up to him, had a go at him, like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And in that shipyard, they had quite a few ships. So they had an actual Y-wing. Yeah, they had a Y-wing in there, which was pretty cool. And then they had the Bestoon Legacy, which is Ochi's ship that obviously Rey's parents was killed on that ship as well. And then Rey obviously like flew that ship to Kijimi and back and whatnot. So the ship in Episode 9, that's just it's not necessarily the exact same ship, but that type of ship was in the shipyard as well. So that's really cool. I think there were other ships as well. Well, I know there were other ships in shot, but I can't remember if they were all like familiar or not. But yeah, lots of cool Easter eggs through that. The Corellian Hounds as well there in the show. awesome. You'll also notice, so this is his armor, and then this is the armor here. So it's not the same armor at all, but the helmet is the same, which makes me think that this. So it's not. I don't think it's going to be Starkiller specifically, but yeah, I don't think it is Starkiller. But I think what it actually is probably just some ancient Sith Lord instead, and potentially we could see it in the Acolyte. So I don't know. That's my theory. Oh, Jen, thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. That looks so... So, here, you obviously have Mandalorian and Beskar armor. I imagine, like, most of it, like, the shoulder pads and this, like, the breastplate, I imagine... Or chest plate, it is male. I imagine they are just from, literally, like, Mando's armor, like, Din Djarin. Obviously that won't be Din Djarin's armor, but that will have been like taken from like the actual prop. That's what I mean. The rest of it will be different, but that I just think that's really cool. Here, just you can see there, that's Twi'lek Calicori, which you see in Star Wars Rebels. Like Thrawn actually takes Hera Syndulla's family Calicori, so that's cool. Oh yeah, there was this one in like an official shot here of a Keldor mask. It wasn't in the episode, so this is Luthen in a different outfit. So this will clearly be a future episode. But like, yeah, you literally see a Keldor Skywalker. I agree with you on Palpatine. However, it was kind of made Darth Vader's sacrifice pointless. Yeah, I mean, it kind of did make his sacrifice pointless in a way. But like, even in Legends, Palpatine came back anyway, so. Like, in both canon and Legends, like, Palpatine came back. So his sacrifice was kind of pointless anyway. That's the thing. If people, like... I mean, it's a genuine thing. Like, it's a problem on both Legends and canon, really. Like, it does make Vader's sacrifice feel kind of pointless. But, yeah. I just feel like a lot of the time, Legends fans, like, complain about it and, like, will... have a go at the canon for doing that, but then it's like, well, Legends did the exact same thing. Like Palpatine came back like a couple years later, and yeah. So Calicori here, Twi'lek thing. Let's go Twi'lek Calicori. Let's see if they have one from Rebels. Here you go. So this is Hera's Calicori from like her family. So they're going to be very different, I imagine anyway. So it does look very different to this one here, but I believe it is a Calicori. I mean, it's structured exactly the same. But yeah, so that's that one. This is World Between Worlds. You got like the father, the son, the daughter from Star Wars Rebels. World Between Worlds. Like they're the slabs. Here you go. That's useless. Right. So the son's like fist is clenched, father's hand is up, and then hers to the side. So yeah, these stone slabs. So that's the daughter, the son, the father. I don't know if I don't think it'll be these ones exactly. I don't actually really know. I can't remember I've not watched Star Wars Rebels in a long time, but yeah, that's another really cool thing. So that's like World Between Worlds kind of stuff. Oh, that's just Starkiller's armor again. Do you think if JJ made the second movie, he would have built up Palpatine's return more and at least teased it? We needed more build up. Yeah, well, this is the thing. I think if it was more consistent, like we would have had Palpatine like return, potentially at the end of Episode 8. Like it would have been built up a lot more. Like I feel like there are things in the Rise of Skywalker that happened that you kind of feel like maybe JJ wanted to do in his version of episode 8 if he was to do it. So yeah. Did you get a new PS5? Not yet, no. I haven't really been playing games an awful lot recently anyway. But in October, I think sort of like towards the end of October, I am going to get a new PS5. So yeah, I'll be ready for like Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2 and whatnot, I think. So and depending on how busy I am, I potentially will stream that on my FPS channel. So stay tuned. I forgot about that. It was in Legends before Rise of Skywalker, but I didn't even mind it too much anyway. Yeah, like I didn't mind it too much. I thought Palpatine's return was really cool. Like, yeah, okay, it was kind of a bit like rushed, as was like the first half of the film, but yeah, I love it, honestly. Like, it's just so cool. It won't top Revenge of the Sith for me, but yeah. Didn't they increase the price on them by $100? Potentially. They increased it by like £50 in the UK, so it's very sucky, but yeah, you know. Because the thing is, so the situation I'm in, right, is I've got a PS5, a digital one, right, and my APU chip burnt out, or at least like the liquid, the metal that sort of covers it, that's melted away, and it needs that to shield the chip, I think. So it's like that's melted away, so that's broken. It physically will not turn on properly now. Like, I cannot do anything about it. Like, I might as well smash it. I may try and I may potentially sell it because someone might try and fix it, but I don't know. I tried to get it fixed from someone, but he said that it's unfortunately only Sony are able to do that. And so if I want to get it fixed from Sony, it's going to cost £240. And obviously it's a digital one, and I'm just thinking, well, it would cost me £240, or I could just spend like $450. So like it's almost double, yeah, okay. But I'd then get a physical copy of the PlayStation, and it would also be a new one, like a newer model than this, because the one I have is like first generation. I got it like the day it came out. So yeah, take care everyone, have a good one. Thank you for popping in, appreciate it. So we're on now like Gen 3 of PlayStation 5s, right? And they have better, I think, like they've got better heat sinks, and I think the APU chip is improved as well, so it won't have this heating issue. So yeah, it's a more already it's a more reliable PlayStation. And also, if I get the physical one, I can actually get disc games again, and I have loads of games on my PS4 that I now can't play because I have a digital PS5. So yeah, I'm just gonna spend the money. But the good thing is, I can go through Currys, and they do buy now, pay in 12 months. So that is exactly what I'm gonna be doing. Did that for my Oculus Quest 2, but I need to pay that back soon. So, whoopsie. I liked when Palpatine used foresighting and all the spaceships above him. I thought that was awesome. Dude, yeah, that was so cool. I loved that. Like, The Rise of Skywalker had a lot of really good moments. It's just a shame it sort of was a bit rushed, and like the sequel trilogy as a whole was somewhat tarnished by people hating on The Last Jedi so much. I loved it, but what can you say? Can this happen to all PS5s, or was this just an error with yours? Should I be worried? It absolutely can happen to all PS5s. It has happened to plenty. I say plenty, like I've read up about people, like lots of other people having the issue. If your PlayStation isn't just turning off, like the moment you should start getting worried is when your PlayStation just turns off at random, like in a couple times within like a week. I don't know if you remember at all, but I think it started happening on stream for me, where I'd be streaming and then the PS5 would just turn off randomly, and I'd have to turn it back on, and then yeah, I think it was during Fortnite streams, maybe at the start of the season when Darth Vader came into it, or like the season before that. Don't know, I can't really remember too much. I think it was early June it started happening. So yeah, very unfortunate. But as long as your PS5 doesn't as long as your PS5 doesn't turn off randomly, then I wouldn't worry. Right, so yeah, okay, that's the Indiana Jones whip Easter egg, and then the last one that is really cool is so you've got here, you've got a Jedi holocron, and then here you've got a Sith holocron, which is just really cool, like amazing. You know, that like just stuff like that's really sick, and obviously Luthen gave like Cassian that crystal and mentioned about the Rakata like empire and stuff like that, and they in Legends they were around like 25 to 36,000 years before episode 4 took place, so like really like crazy ancient empire. Yeah, so that was really cool. Like they've essentially been made canon through Andor, which I just think is awesome. Top 3 movies: 1 Revenge of the Sith, 2 Return of the Jedi, 3 Rogue One. Yeah, that's good. It's a good selection. I'd say for me, Revenge of the Sith is certainly at number 1. And then 2 and 3, I'd say. Okay, top 4. Top 4. So yeah, Revenge of the Sith at number 1, and then in no particular order, it's Empire Strikes Back, Rise of Skywalker, and Rogue One for sure. It's really stupid that you have to pay Sony extra money just because their products aren't working properly. Yeah, it's really unfortunate, but not much you can do about it. They have a warranty on it for a year, because the thing is, if I paid £240 to get this fixed, I then have a 3-month warranty on it, but then like the issue would probably happen again within 6 months anyway, so it's just like, what's the point? It's on Sony's end that something like this happens. Yeah, I mean, the thing is as well, like, whilst there is an issue that Sony need to address, and they have been, like, they are upgrading. They've now done 2 major upgrades to the PS5 over the last 2 years. With their latest model, they released that in mid-September. Like, yeah, there is that, but then also maybe I could have been playing on it less and causing it to like overheat less and whatnot, because it was ultimately an overheating problem, and in the summer especially this room gets incredibly hot. So yeah, and like, I think the day the real issues started to happen, like it spun up like a jet engine and then completely cut out. Like it genuinely almost felt like it was going to explode. I'd left it on most of the day, a lot of the time not doing much, but it's still obviously using power and doing its thing. So yeah, my advice: don't leave it on for a crazy amount of time, because it's not built for that, unfortunately. Right, I feel like I've spoken about Andor mostly, about what I wanted to go through. Favorite Jedi are Yoda and Obi-Wan, and my favorite Sith are Palpatine, Vader, and Dooku. What are yours? Favorite Jedi is Plo Koon. Favorite Sith is Darth Maul, for sure. If I was to have a top 3, I'd say Plo Koon, Obi-Wan, and probably Yoda, to be fair. Sith-wise, it would be Darth Maul, Vader, and Palpatine, I imagine. I do love Dooku as well, though. Probably get a PS5 Pro if they make one. Give my current PS5 to my nephew. That'd be nice. I imagine they probably will do a PS5 Pro, but probably not for another like 2 years, maybe. Yeah, that'd be nice. That sounds like a good plan, actually. Right. Before I move away from Andor, is there anything else anyone wants to discuss about it other than the fact that it's awesome? Because the next thing I wanted to talk about is Star Wars gaming. Surprise, surprise. That's why I hope my PS5 won't break till then. I'm sure it'll be fine, honestly. Like, yeah, it'll be fine. Don't worry too much. Ooh. Hang on. I think I saw something that I actually quite like. So I think I just saw a PS5 with Modern Warfare 2. Like if I can get the PS5 with that would be nice. Oh, there's actually a Modern Warfare 2 PS5 bundle giveaway, ends October 28. I don't want to wait that long to try and get it, that's the only thing. Hopefully I can get it in the bundle. Anyway, my old PS4 broke a few months before PS5 came out. Damn. That must have been a pretty sucky few months. So, my PS4, right, I had it for... I kind of want to say... oh, no. So I was 20... I was 20 when I got my PS5. And I was... 15? No. I was 14 when I got my PS4. So I had my PS4 for 6.5 years. Was working absolutely fine until I got my PS5, stopped using the PS4, and then like 6 months after I got the PS5, when I wanted to do something on my PS4, I went and put a disc in, and it just kept spitting it back out. Like the disc drive is just broken now. I was born in 2000. Indeed I was, yes. I am 22. I feel like the 4th episode of Andor felt a bit like Lord of the Rings. Don't know why, but it just felt like Lord of the Rings when they were walking. Oh, when Cassian and that woman, I can't remember her name, bloody hell. Yeah, when they were walking in the Highlands, it felt like Bilbo and Sam. Like just yeah, I know what you mean. That's quite a good comparison. Right, Space Gandalf, yeah. Oh, hang on. Wait. You can't hear me twice, can you? No. That's good. Right. Okay, well, that's it for Andor discussions for now. Insider Gaming, brand new news outlet from Tom Henderson, and I believe other leakers and stuff, all of which reliable, I do believe. They pride themselves on cooperation. So, like if they hear something, they need it corroborated with other sources, for example. So, like, and the Best Spin Bulletin is another really good example of this. If he hears something, he won't report on it unless he's heard the same thing from like 3 other sources. So yeah. Just want Star Wars Battlefront 3, to be honest, it would be amazing. I don't know why that was blocked there. Yeah, no, that would be amazing. I spent about 3 hours earlier today speaking with Sammy Boy and Twisted Jedi. And we were basically just saying the same thing, like Battlefront 3, like why is it not here? It's stupid that it's not, and like it's just really, really silly. Really is. Because it's like, if you look at I watch them. Yeah, they're cool people. They're cool. They've both been good friends for a while now. So, yeah. So, according to Tom Henderson, the guy who wrote this article, the reason Battlefront 3 wasn't... So, Battlefront 3, DICE pitched it to EA, right? And EA said no, according to Tom Henderson, because the licensing fee that you have to pay Disney meant that they'd need to sell 20% more copies. So, that's, you know, whatever. So it's like, that's the reason, right? Hey Toad, good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Right, so yeah, Battlefront 3 wasn't made apparently because the licensing fee meant that they had to sell 20% more copies. EA Motive last week announced the fact that they're making an Iron Man game, right? And I'll get onto that in a minute. So the reason they're making it is because Jedi Fallen Order was so successful that, you know, this is why it's come about, basically. Like they, I imagine EA sort of communicated with Disney more and eventually got the go ahead on this Iron Man game. So the Iron Man game is a thing thanks to the success of Jedi Fallen Order. And what I find really bizarre about it, right, is according to Jeff Grubb this time, just naturally anyway, this is a thing. Like it's easier to get an established IP off the ground than it is to make a new IP, right? Let's look at Anthem, for example. Anthem from BioWare, like completely new IP, and it really struggled, right? But if that was an Iron Man game, I guarantee you it would have sold far more copies than it did. And now, you've got Motive, like, here's an Iron Man game, right? So they'll probably use a lot of the flight systems. Like, if Iron Man has, like, the flight systems from Anthem, then that would be incredible. Because although Anthem flopped and, like, was cancelled after a year, it was, like, the flight on it was really good. So because it's easy, right? So because it's easier to get an established IP off the ground than it is to get a new IP off the ground, EA thought that the licensing fee was worth paying. But like, they literally said no to Battlefront 3 because they didn't want to pay the licensing costs. But they're saying yes to an Iron Man game and they don't care about the licensing costs. Like, it makes no sense. The licensing fee is probably the same, given that it's with Disney. And like that to me is like really baffling, because the Iron Man game is a single player game, right? Which, if it's really successful, it'll sell a few million copies and no doubt do really well. But if it was a Battlefront 3, they'd probably sell many millions of copies, and if they monetize it properly, they then get loads of money through microtransactions and stuff. And it's like, they would make far more money on like a Battlefront 3 than they would an Iron Man game. Like, I know it's different studios, that's absolutely fine, and I'm really excited for the Iron Man game, don't get me wrong. It's just like, it makes no sense. Really doesn't make any sense. Yeah, they still make Fallen Order. Well, they made Fallen Order, but Fallen Order was like, the thing is, Fallen Order is a Star Wars game, so it's yeah, it's Star Wars. It's not a new IP. Like, yes, it's a new venture within the franchise, but it's still Star Wars. You market it as a Star Wars game, and it's like, bam, play as a Jedi, easy. EA could surely do that though. They've got the money. They do. Battlefront 2 was also successful, just not straight away. And so I actually had this exact conversation with Twisted and Sammy as part of our discussions earlier, and like, so yeah, Battlefront 2 was immensely successful. Regardless of how it was perceived at launch, it was still successful. It still sold lots of copies, and then the public perception of it grew stronger and stronger as the game went on, and it was the strongest it had ever been when it got cancelled. Bit sucky. Less than a year after it was cancelled, it then had a free-to-play week 2024, depending on the scale of it. If it's like a somewhat small-scale game, like Squadrons was, then I think it'll be 2024. I believe it will have a campaign based on what Peter Hirschman has said about it, saying it's a story I've always wanted to tell. I'm also really hoping it has a multiplayer, because if it doesn't, then again, makes no sense. Like, yeah, it just wouldn't make much sense, honestly. So they have to sell 20% more copies because they don't own the Battlefront IP. Well, so what it is, TD, is that so for EA to use the Star Wars license, I don't know like the full ins and outs, but basically in the context of the Battlefront, for DICE to make the Battlefront game and it's Star Wars and whatnot, they have to pay Disney a licensing fee, and that licensing fee is so much to the point where they'd have to sell 20% more copies of the game in order to make like the same amount of money. So what I mean by that is, if it was an EA owned franchise, they wouldn't have to pay anything, they wouldn't have to do any like licensing and stuff like that. So let's say, well, let's just use Battlefield, right? So Battlefield, like the next Battlefield game and Battlefront 3, let's just say that Battlefront 3 would have to sell 20% more copies than this next Battlefield game in order to make the same amount of money, basically, because of these licensing fees. Hopefully that made sense. I know I'm a bit of a waffler. You and Sammy Boy should do a video together. That would be amazing. Yeah, I mean, I think at the moment, like, Star Wars gaming is in such a drought. But next year it will be coming back into full flow. Like, that's kind of what we were discussing today. But pretty much just like trying to get, just trying to plan things, basically, see what we can do to help each other out and whatnot. And yeah, so I think maybe next year we'll definitely do something for sure. We'll probably stream Hunters a lot together as well. That's the hope anyway. Tell you what annoys me the most, they stopped supporting Battlefront 2 and a load of other games to make Battlefield 2042, which we know how that went. Yep. That's one of the things that annoys me the most as well. Is Battlefront 2, like, no matter how anyone sees it, like, yes, okay, the game had been out for 2.5 years and stuff, but that's not the point, really. Like, the game, the number, like, the player base from December 2019 to January 2020, as Dennis Brownville explicitly said on Twitter, the player base doubled. Like, the numbers that Battlefront 2 were doing, like, is not something that is worth cancelling. Like so many of the developers wish they carried on making it. Like, there's a guy, one of the producers on the game, literally tweeted the other day. So Daily Star Wars Games posted. Hang on, let me find it. I literally responded to it today because I didn't see it until today. Basically what I'm trying to say is loads of developers wish they carried on making the game, and they easily could have for a long time. Alright, here we go. Manuel. Design your games at DICE, Sis 05. So, 20th of September, on this day, blah, 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 3 years ago, Fallujah drops. That's nuts. 3 years ago. Wowee. And then, Manuel, wish we could have worked on it more. And then here's me. Sadness. But, like, it's just annoying, you know? Like, the developers wish they worked on it more. They very easily could have worked. You know, they very easily could have worked on it more, and it's frustrating, you know. So yeah, and yeah, they like the you know, it was doing amazing numbers. The developers wish they worked on it more. EA cancelled it because they wanted it all in on Battlefield 2042, which I understand, but then it failed a bit. Like, they're pulling their way back into it now. I think, like, with the last few updates and stuff, like, it has been improved, but is it, like, a little too late? Like, Battlefield 5 was not particularly successful. Especially within public perception, it wasn't particularly great. So, you know, it's one of those things. You know, DICE sort of failed with Battlefield 5. They failed with 2042. Yes, okay, Battlefront 3, I mean, was obviously very successful, but public perception was bad to start with, but then ended very good. It's just like, if I was EA and DICE, like, if I was in a high up position at EA and I was sort of looking over this, I'd be like, well, the smartest thing to do is obviously Battlefront 3. Like you've now got you've got 2 other studios working on different Battlefield games now. You've got what were they called? You've got Ridgeline Games, I think they're called. Hang on. Back to Twitter to consult. I think it's Ridgeline Games. Goddamn right, it's Ridgeline Games. So you've got Ridgeline Games, and you've got bloody what's Dice LA rebranded to? Come on, this was ages ago now. It's on the tip of my tongue. Oh, I think I just had it and it's gone. Like a shooting star. Oh, God. Oh, come on. Let's just go on Ridgeline Games Twitter feed and just see who they're following, because they'll be following. I'm going to be so annoyed when I hear about Ripple Effect. That's the one. Bloody Ripple Effect. So you've got Ripple Effect, and you've got you have Ripple Effect, and you've got Ridgeline Games working on Battlefield games now. Like, and then you've got DICE. Obviously, DICE were the original creators and stuff like that. But maybe just give DICE a bit of a break. Give them like Battlefront 3. Like, I know a lot, quite a few of the people who worked on Battlefront like have left. Like CJ's gone to Massive Entertainment, probably to work on the Star Wars game. I know Guillaume's left, Dennis Brownville's left. Like, it wouldn't be the same. You do still have a lot of the DICE devs who worked on the game there though. And they've got so much examples to learn from, with Battlefront 2 and the previous 2 DICE games. Like, they don't need to reinvent the wheel at all. And I think if they did Battlefront 3 now, that would be amazing, and would obviously be ideal. So yeah. Anyway, I haven't actually read this article with you yet. So, according to this article, Disney wants a Star Wars game every 6 months. Wowee. So, what does that look like? Well, currently we have 8 Star Wars games in development. We have the Skydance new media game being developed by Amy Hennig. We have Respawn's first-person shooter, Ubisoft's open-world game, Star Wars Eclipse from Quantic Dream, the KOTOR remake by Saber Interactive, formerly Aspire Media, but obviously it changed development studios, Jedi Survivor from Respawn Entertainment, Star Wars Hunters coming from Zynga, and then you've got the untitled strategy game, also from Respawn Entertainment, and Bit Reactor. So there are 8 Star Wars games in development currently that we know about. There are also more rumoured. So sources have suggested that a entertainment giant Disney wants a Star Wars game every 6 months. It's understood that Disney wants 1 major AAA title and 1 smaller game per fiscal year, which is something Lucasfilm is set to deliver on. Very exciting. Right. None of these games have release dates, by the way. Hunters and Survivor are the only ones that have release years, of which are both next year. So, these 8 games are the only titles that have been announced, with sources suggesting that there are several more in pre-development. Some of them might be are believed to be a very long time away from release. In fact, some of these titles are believed to be at least 4 years away. Those titles being at least 4 years away, probably Star Wars Eclipse and the open world game by Ubisoft. So, yes. Tom Henson has also heard rumours of a Mandalorian game behind the scenes for a while now, but so far these rumours have seemed to stem from speculation due to the success of the series. If anything changes, I'll update. So you've got like AAA big games and smaller games. These smaller games are said to be aimed at the mobile market, or smaller games like Squadrons by Motive. So if they want to do one of these per year, well, Next year they've got Hunters as like the smaller / mobile game, and then you've got Survivor as well as sort of like the more big AAA game. 2024, this is just purely speculation. The first-person shooter could be like the somewhat smaller game, so it'll be. I genuinely think this Respawn first-person shooter will be a bit like Squadrons in that it had a decent length campaign and like a small-scale multiplayer. So it could be, there's 2 multiplayer modes on like 6 maps or something, and that's how it starts. But then because it's a first-person shooter, EA are more like, okay, we'll actually go and develop this more. So yeah, I'm kind of hoping they do what they did with Squadrons with this, but actually give it a live service after. So yeah, we'll see. But like Toad said earlier, if there's no multiplayer, it would be very low IQ. Would have been 4 years without one if they release it in 2024. 4 years. Well, yeah, because 2020 had Squadrons, which actually came out. Squadrons came out 2 years ago on Sunday. It would have been exactly 2 years since that came out. And also, fun little fact for you. Literally this minute, right now, this time 2 years ago, I was doing a multiplayer tech test for Squadrons. So 2 days before it came out, me and the other game changers got to play test the multiplayer for Squadrons, and it was awesome. It was very cool. So yeah, that was awesome. So yeah, these are the 8 games we currently know about. It looks like, 2023 for these 2, 2024 potentially for this one. KOTOR Remake could maybe be 2024 as well, but yeah, 2025 I'd then say Skylar's new media game and strategy game, and then 2026 Ubisoft open world game, and then 2027 Quantic Dream Star Wars Eclipse. That's my assumption. I will have a video sort of talking a bit more in detail about that in a few weeks' time. But yes, that is that. Hey, it's Gamer, good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. So yeah, I mean, like that's the gist of this, though, right? So they want a Star Wars game every 6 months, which is like amazing. Loads of people have been complaining about the fact that that's going to oversaturate things, which is ridiculous because, like, we've currently gone. Well, the last like sort of few Star Wars games to release was more like sort of 2000. Well, like in terms of like the bigger ones, like we had an amazing period between 2002 and 2008 where 18 Star Wars games came out. So that's like averaging 3 a year, which is nuts. And then we went through a period where we basically had no Star Wars games, which was really depressing. Like that sucked big time. And then it was like, EA exclusive license. Oh, that's cool. They're making 3 games at the moment. So it was Battlefront, Project Ragtag, and Fallen Order. They were the 3 that were sort of like known about. So Battlefront 1 came out, and then the next game to come out was Battlefront 2. Project Ragtag was cancelled, and then Fallen Order came out 2 years after Battlefront 2 release. So it's like, we had 3 Star Wars games from EA in the space of 4 years. And then 2 years after that's kind of mad. 1 year after Fallen Order came out, we then had Squadrons, right? So they're the 4 Star Wars games that EA have released. Besides, they obviously do have Galaxy of Heroes as well. But in terms of like big Star Wars games, they've released. I mean, Galaxy. It's not fair to say that Galaxy of Heroes is not a big game, but like a big like console PC game. We've had 4 games from them in the space of 7 years, right? Because it was announced in like 2013 that they had the license, and by the end of 2020 we had 4 games. Cool. Yeah, no worries at all. I don't like sound. Have a good rest of your day, bud, and we'll speak soon. So it was very slow. We had 4 games in 7 years. And I mean, if you go from like 2015 to 2020, it was 4 games in 5 years, which isn't like so bad. But like, 2 games a year is not a lot. And if you think about it as well, like, well, it's not. I say it's not a lot. Like, it's a really good amount. And if you think about it as well, like most of these games currently are probably single player. So Skylance game, single player. Respawn game will hopefully have both. The open world game by Ubisoft will probably like, it'll be like a bit like The Division, where it's got a story but it's sort of like online-ish. So yeah, I think like the open world game will definitely be like sort of single player and multiplayer orientated, especially given that it's coming from Massive. So we'll see. I mean, the Avatar game, to be fair, might not be like that at all. It might just be single player. But still, I think the open world game could very well be sort of somewhat multiplayer as well, but we'll see. We just don't know yet. Star Wars Eclipse will very much be single player, but it has been said that it will have multiplayer, but not officially. The KOTOR remake will be single player. Survivor will be single player. Hunters will be multiplayer. Strategy game could probably be both, to be fair. So there is like a lot of multiplayer elements in the works, but we just don't know officially yet. But still, like single player games, for example, like the few months leading up to the game, there is tons of hype for it. The game comes out, you play it, and then a month later, you're probably done with it for a while. Whereas like multiplayer games, you're constantly coming back to. So we'll see. So Ace Gamer says, I think 2023 will get Jedi Survivor and a worldwide release of Star Wars Hunters and maybe KOTOR remake to end the year. See, I would have agreed, but like initially, but I think KOTOR is going to be 2024 because, so in August, it potentially happened in July, but we knew about it first in August. But the KOTOR remake changed development studios, so it was originally at Aspire Media, but has now officially changed to Saber Interactive because the game just wasn't up to scratch. Basically, like Aspire were quite happy with where it was at, but they basically like gave a gameplay demo to Lucasfilm and like Sony and stuff like that, and they weren't happy with the standard of it and stuff, so it then got moved to Saber Interactive, which is pretty rough. Like, I feel really bad for Aspire Media, honestly, but at the end of the day, like, it, if Lucasfilm and Sony aren't happy about it, then it's probably worth looking at changing it a bit. So I think that's going to add on at least like another year, maybe even longer. So I think KOTOR will probably be 2024, unfortunately, but we'll see. Because I think originally, actually, it was actually said to release this year. Like, you never know. It could have actually been pretty close to releasing, but we just don't know. But yeah, I mean, I think the way I see it is, so Jedi Survivor will probably release within March and April, because there's a novel coming out at the start of March, then there's the art book coming out at literally the very start of May, so it will release between those two. So yeah, I think it will release then, and then we've got and then Hunters, although it's not got an official release date yet, I think it will probably release in May. I really hope it releases in May, because at that point, we would have ridden the hype around Jedi Survivor. It would have then come out, we would have played it, probably still made content on it for like a bit after the game came out, but then things like sort of slow down a bit, and then hopefully that's when, as sort of like Survivor comes out, I'm hoping that's sort of when Hunters sort of chirps up a bit more, and we get to see a marketing push from them, and it's like, hey, the next multiplayer Star Wars game's here, and it's like, get in. Because, if Hunters doesn't come out until like November next year, Survivor it'll be very much like this year in a way where, big Star Wars game comes out at like the early stages of the year. Like Lego Star Wars this year came out at the start of April. That was really hype. That was amazing. But like the last few months have been pretty dead because there's nothing to be excited about. Obviously, November 1st, there are new character packs coming out, which is awesome. But yeah, beyond that, it's nothing particularly crazy. So I'm hoping that, well, what we ultimately need then is, we need a multiplayer style. We just need a multiplayer Star Wars game that gets content on a regular basis, and Hunters will do that. But I can't help but feel like so many people are just gonna not play it because it's a mobile game. But like, yes, it's a mobile game, but it actually does genuinely play well. And it's also coming to the Nintendo Switch, so if you want the console experience and you have a Switch, then it will be on the Switch for free. So it's like, it would just be a real shame if loads of people just miss it because of those reasons. And at the end of the day as well, if people want that Star Wars fix, then it's it will be there to give. So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how things go though. Like, I think Survivor will probably come out before Celebration next year, so probably like late March. But at the same time, you release an art book sort of just after the release of a game, not or with the release of the game, and not like a month after. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think regardless, March or April is when Survivor will launch, and then hopefully in May Hunters will launch, because at that point, we'll probably then get content most months, and with it being a multiplayer game, it's a lot more streamable, which is like from a content creation perspective, like, it's a lot more streamable, and there's going to be plenty of stuff to make content on, which is awesome. I mean, technically there is now, but it's just like it's not getting updated regularly, so that's a bit of a shame. And obviously not everyone can play it, so the hype isn't really there. But just as a fan as well, like when we then get a multiplayer Star Wars game getting content on a monthly basis, even if it's not necessarily what people were hoping for, and it's not going to be this big fancy AAA shooter that on PlayStation and Xbox like lots of people want, but it is a genuinely good game, and I think we can expect some really exciting things from Boss Alien with it, honestly, because so far, like, the gameplay's really fun. Like, all the skins are amazing as well. Like, there's so many Easter eggs and stuff. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, hopefully there's a bit more news on things in the coming weeks. I think Hunters will next get its sort of big update either in October or potentially November. We might have to wait until November. I hope we don't have to wait that long, but we shall see. I will also say, so GN, thank you for mentioning about the schedule yesterday. But following my chat with Twisted and Sammy earlier, I've had a lot more ideas for shorts. So originally I was going to be just doing 2 a week, but now I'm going to be doing 3 a week because there's just like so much stuff I can do. So I just want to sort of go through some ideas with you guys and see what you think. And also, if you guys have any ideas for videos that you want to see me do, then please do let me know. If it's something you come up with later, just like either DM it to me on Twitter or put it in the video ideas channel on the Discord server as well. Like, I'm always looking for ideas if you have any, but if not, that's obviously fine. Right, here we go. So I have now updated so yeah, I am doing 3 shorts a week. So I'm doing, so the official schedule, which is updated now, GN, I will say, it is, even with the third short, I have updated it earlier. So yeah, the way it's going to be, Monday at 7 p.m. is going to be video. Tuesday, probably just have to use the PS4 save that I've currently got. Yeah, I want to do like 100% Lego Star Wars at some point, because that would just be really cool. Battlefront 2 2005 Galactic Conquest series would be pretty interesting, where you play as each faction, but each faction you play differently. Not sure what you mean by what you play differently, by like how you play differently, but the were you there on Tuesday? I think you were, Ace Gamer. You were there on Tuesday potentially. But yeah, with Battlefront 2 like Galactic Conquest, you decide. That one's where like, so I'm playing the game, but like you guys as like the chat, you decide what I do. So like, do I buy, if I have enough credits, like do I buy a unit, do I buy a bonus, what planet do I go and attack next, and stuff like that. So it's sort of like interactive like that. You were cool. Okay, so you understand how it works. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I think after I've done that, like obviously I'm the rebels now, so I'll go and do a different faction that you guys decide once I've finished with the rebellion. Those streams will mostly be on Tuesdays, unless something comes up. They'll be every Tuesday that I'm home. So yeah, then so there's that. You decide Galactic Conquest, Lego Star Wars 100%. Before Jedi Survivor comes out, sort of like next year, I'll stream through Jedi. Before it comes out, I'll stream through Jedi Fallen Order again. I've also got this sort of like live chat / podcast where I talk about the latest Star Wars news, which is like what I'm doing today. They'll mostly be on Fridays. So a lot of the time they may only be an hour long, or there might not really be any Star Wars news. So at that point, I might stream something different. And then there's also just like Star Wars game campaign playthroughs. So on Sunday, I might go and play through. On Sunday I may very well go and play through Squadrons campaign, or at least some of it to celebrate its anniversary. And then November 17th, what day is that? November 17th is a Thursday, and would be 5 years since Battlefront 2. I gotta do something for that. Hey, Dr. Awesome, hope you're doing well, man. Good to see you. Been a while since I joined a live of yours. To be fair, I've not really streamed an awful lot at all in the last few months, so I do not blame you at all, don't you worry. I'm just currently going through some of my ideas for the channel and stuff, because I'll be ending fairly soon. So yeah, they're my live stream ideas. In terms of like main videos, in terms of like series, I'm at some point going to do more Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga location comparisons. So I did one for Naboo when the game came out. I want to do more for like Yavin for like the Great Temple, and like Utapau, for example, between Battlefront 2004 and Lego Star Wars and stuff. So I think that'll be quite cool. I'm going to do more of them. Hunter concepts I'll get back into at some point. Update concepts I'll get back into that at some point. Potentially nearer the time of Hunter's releasing though. Also going to be doing videos where I come up with Star Wars game ideas. So yeah. Still need to play Lego Star Wars, a bit behind on it, I know. Wait, have you like not played it at all, or have you just like you've started it but not finished it? One series I will start doing next year when so basically when it gets to next year, literally as soon as it's January, I'll focus on Jedi Survivor quite a lot. So one of the series I'm going to do is like Jedi Survivor features I want to see. So I did a couple of those videos already this year, but I kind of decided to stop that until next year because there's no point doing it when the hype is just not there. They'll just do so much better when the hype is there, basically. Don't even own a copy of it. Oh, wow, okay. Well, I definitely recommend it at some point because it is awesome. So yeah, they're pretty much like the main series ideas I have at the moment. So if you guys do come up with any other ideas that you want to see me look into, then that's cool. And then as for shorts, a lot of the ideas I have for shorts are basically like skin showcases. So for example, so not this Saturday, but like next Saturday. So I'll actually be so the first one will be on Tuesday, then I'll do another one on Saturday, but it'll pretty much be on Saturdays where it's basically like skin showcases. So it'll be like Battlefront 2 where so I'll basically like showcase the clone skins to start with. I'll showcase all 4 classes of clone skins, show a bit of gameplay, and basically just like talk about like where you would have seen them before. So like the 501st I'm going to do first. So like you would have obviously seen them in episode 3. You would have seen them in the Clone Wars. Notable members, I'll probably talk a bit about that. But obviously it's like a minute or less basically. So I need to try and condense it into that minute. But I'm going to do that for pretty much every skin in Battlefront 2, as well as Squadrons. and classic Battlefront as well. Like if I download a mod, for example, and it introduces a new unit that is actually if it comes up with, so if let's say I download a Star Wars Rebels mod, for example, I do have a Lothal map installed actually. I'm pretty sure the heroes on that might be like Kanan or something. I don't know. Like if let's say the heroes are Kanan and then the villain is Agent Callus, then like I'll do a showcase for them, for example, from classic Battlefront. So yeah, I'll be doing that for like Battlefront 2 and Squadrons. Obviously there's loads of cosmetics in Squadrons. I won't be able to talk about all of them, but certainly like the Coastal Defender like pilot outfit in Squadrons, like that is basically what a Shore Trooper is, but a pilot version. And they would have been piloting the Sky Strikers on in Rogue One, but obviously we never saw them. But it's just like cool to think about, really. Yeah, that's like the main thing. But then it's also just like short form news and like Easter eggs and stuff like that. So yeah, GN's not paid it either in a while. Yeah, I mean that's understandable. Been seeing your videos and being jealous for like the last year or so. I mean, it's only been out for about 5, well, I guess almost 6 months, I think now. But yeah, no, I mean that's understandable. If I didn't own it and I was seeing everyone else play it, I'd be like, I need it now. But yeah, that's the general gist of the ideas. Will you be picking up the 501st Lego Battlefront pack set? Probably will at some point. Yeah. I see why not. I don't see why not. The only thing at the moment is just I don't really have anywhere to put Lego, so yeah, bit of a shame. 6 months, damn, time flies. Yeah, it really does. Because it came out on the 5th of April, I believe, and obviously next week at some point it'll be the 5th of October. So yeah, next Wednesday is the 5th of October, so it would have been 6 months at that point, which is pretty nuts. Yeah, it's one of those things. Like I'm really, I'm sometimes glad that time is going by quite quickly because it means we're getting closer to the new Star Wars games to release, and that'll mean like YouTube will start to actually pick up properly. So yeah, it's one of those things. Like I'd really like it. I wouldn't mind it going quickly and whatnot, but at the same time, like I don't want to wish my life away. I'd never do that. But yeah, I would recommend pre-ordering that if you're thinking of getting it. It should be a fairly cheap and small set, but the demand will be nuts. We'll sell out in a day. Yeah, no, I mean I'm not that worried about pre-ordering it yet. To be honest, I'm just trying to save as much money as I can. So yeah, I'll just I'll get it at some point. Yeah. Anywho, I think I will call it a night there. I don't really have much else to say. And all the first 4 episodes are very cool, and I'm very excited to see where it goes next. Disney apparently want to make 6. Sorry, not 6. Would be nice. Disney apparently want to have a new Star Wars game every 6 months, so essentially 2 a year. Very exciting. So yeah, when more games come out, like I think things will be a lot more exciting. So yeah, I think it's also worth just saying that I obviously really appreciate you all for sticking around. Like I know it's not been, the last sort of 2 years haven't been particularly exciting. Obviously there was like Lego Star Wars, that was great. And so like just after Squadrons, like that was good still as well, really, because we had the game. But pretty much since the start of last year to now, minus Lego Star Wars, like it has been really quiet. But yeah, it will. This time, in 6 months' time, we could have Jedi Survivor. So, and almost in 6 months' time, I'll be at Star Wars Celebration. Hype. So, yeah, it'll be okay. We got this. It's just a case of, I think, pushing through the next year, the next like few months, like the rest of this year, just push through that, and we'll be good to go. We'll be laughing about this time. But yeah, that is going to do it from me today. Hope you will have a good weekend. I'll potentially play Squadrons on Sunday, obviously to celebrate the 2-year anniversary. But if I don't, then yeah, videos will be normal next week, but there won't be any streams apart from maybe next Sunday. But I don't know. I'll just update you then. Yeah, when we get new games, it will be amazing. Like I genuinely feel like next year's gonna be a bit of a turning point in a way. You know, it's been like a really like we've been like trudging through mud, you know, the last like year and a half. But then, you know, we'll climb over that trench and it'll be beautiful. But we'll see. Anyway, thank you all for watching, guys, and may the force be with you always.